All right, I had some questions about the StonFo Bobinator Elite. Did I run into any issues with it? I've tied probably, since I did the first review on it, I have probably tied 75 to 100 jigs with it. There's a couple things I found about it that I didn't like. That little thumb piece will slowly start backing its way off until you lose tension on your spool of thread, and then it drops right to the floor. If you're, just got to stand, if you have it just hanging there, it will fall to the floor. When you take it apart to change thread, there is a small rubber bushing right up underneath there. I dropped it once. I was on the floor under the table trying to find it. That's something else, but you can take that rubber bushing, the black strip right there, that's the bushing, and you can drop the super glue underneath of it. That will keep that from falling off when you're taking the bobbin apart. Number two, you could take some plumber's tape if you're willing to do this, because put it around the thread, or real thin, just one wrap, put the tension knob back on. That'll kind of solve your problem of that wanting to back its way loose. I didn't find it to be a real big, huge issue. Something you may or may not be willing to fool with. Would I buy the bobbin again? I'm kind of 50-50 on whether I would or I wouldn't. It's really not a bad bobbin. I definitely don't want to put StonFo down over this bobbin, but there's some things that could have been better. Might even be able to find a little nut to put on there, maybe to keep that from backing off. But I couldn't find it. I would use one little strip of plumber's tape right around that thread on the screw. Then I would screw that back down. And I believe that will solve your problem from that falling off. But with that being said, I'm still tying jigs with it. I kind of like the way it feels. It fits in your hand good. But I think the motion of just moving and moving, you end up backing that nut off there. So I'm going to tie this jig with it. I got a blue and white one I need to do. I got like a dozen blue and white ones I need to do. But I'm still going to be using this bobbin. It's not something I would run back to the store and return. I really like the drag tension on it. I really, really like that. It's not a horrible bobbin. It's not bad. If you went out and bought it, you didn't lose your money on it. You'll see it's comfortable. It's easy to use. It fits in the palm of your hand good. So StonFo Bobinator Elite, I give it, out of 5 stars, I give it 2.5. There's, like I said, there's ways you can keep that tension knob from backing off, and you might think of something better than I thought of on how to keep it from backing off, but it's, all in all, it's not really a bad bobbin. We've got a 16th ounce round ball, number 4 sickle hook and a vise. I haven't been tying much of these lately, and every once in a while I need to go back and do a basic jig tying video, just for the people that are new to the channel that haven't gone back and seen, this is where I started at tying jigs. Powder coated blue and white with ProTech powder paint. These have been heated. I will also resin coat the heads when I'm done with them. But right now I got a dab of Sally Hansen's on the shaft, and we are going to use that to glue down a good thick thread base. And being that, this is a 16th ounce, it's a little bit smaller than what I've been tying lately. We're going to be kind of careful on how much we put on that shaft of that hook, so we can still add plenty of material, body material, flash material. I am using blue crystal flash. I'm going to tie in first. This is a light blue. It's got a lot of really good flash to it, especially, you're fishing on a cloudy, sunny, back and forth kind of day. That flash is going to show up. Give it a good wrap all the way to the hook point. Come back up to the head and stop right there. Now we're going to be putting blue and white in this tail, this jig. So I got some blue and black. It's got a lot of sparkle in it. And these are just bass jigs I get off of, sometimes I get them off Amazon. Sometimes I find them at Bass Pro. A couple packs of these will go a long way. You can tie a lot of crappie jigs with this material. So I'm gonna cut off like 3 strands. A little more than that. I got 5. I'm gonna lay those right there on the side. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of white. I'm gonna cut off 2 pieces of white. About the length of the jig head and that much more. And I'm gonna add those 2 to the blue ones. Just like that. Stack them all up. I'm gonna trim the ends off, make sure they're all nice and even. I'm gonna kind of push them around the hook shank, and then we're gonna start tying it all together. And as I'm tying, I'm letting that thread pull some of that tail material around for me. And then we're gonna come back up a little bit tighter, right there against the head. Kind of even it out, make sure it looks right. Don't look too bad, looks pretty good. And we are going to be using this small tinsel chenille, kind of almost the same color as that flash is. So we are going to tie that in. Since it is pretty small, we're going to tie that in right there at the head, all the way down to where you finish tying in your body material, right at the point of the hook. And then we'll come back up. We're gonna let our bobbin dangle right there. And now we are going to wrap our chenille using the rotary function. Gonna kind of let it overlap just a little bit, running it really close side by side, keep a good tension on it. And we're going to finish up with it going right over the other side of our thread and our bobbin. And pull it down, we're going to wrap it right there. We'll move our chenille back to the other side, we're going to wrap it again. Just go one more by the head, one more on the other side of the chenille. A couple wraps. I can already kind of feel the tension getting loose on that bobbin again. It's just something you want to, if you're using that bobbin, just something you pay attention to. Just every once in a while, pull it back down or steer clear of it. Don't buy it, either way. But you're just going to wrap it right there at the head a couple more times. And then just whip finish it. Trim your thread off. We're going to use our UV resin to coat the head, and we're going to push that UV resin back on the thread right there at the neck of that jig. Push that UV resin down in there so that way you make sure that your thread gets a little bit saturated. So when you hit it with your UV light, it'll cure. And it'll cure extremely hard, being that that's UV resin. Well, Sally Hansen's does just as good at that point right there too. You can use Sally Hansen's to coat the head, get it down inside that thread, hang them up and let them dry. I just got to where I prefer to use the UV resin more than the Sally Hansen's. It's just kind of a personal preference. So let's pop it out of the vise and let's take a look. I'm not a big fan of that chenille. I don't think it really went good with that jig. But the person that ordered these, they're all headed to Louisiana, wanted a blue and white one that was sparkly. So we got the flash in it, got the chenille body with the flash in it. And all in all, it didn't come out bad. It's a nice jig, it'll catch crappie. But that is my review number 2 on the StonFo Bobinator Elite. It's got issues. It's not perfect, but it's not a bad, for $24, it's not a bad bobbin. But, you know, versus ones you don't have to adjust that are already going to kind of hold that spool tight anyway. Is it worth the hassle to buy one that you can adjust? It's kind of a personal preference. But out of all the bobbins I have, I will say this one here is my absolute favorite, and that is the one from Loon. This one is my favorite. It's got a great spot there for your fingers to hold on to, get to moving fast with it. This one by far is absolutely my favorite, the one from Loon. It's kind of preference, kind of, you know, the feel in your hand, what you like, what you don't like. But, you know, if you're in the market for one and, you know, you want to try something new, the StonFo Bobinator Elite, it isn't bad for the money. I'm 50-50 on the fence whether or not I'd buy it again, but that's my opinion. And that is all I got. Like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know. When I get further and further into using the Bobinator Elite, a couple hundred jigs, there's a chance by then I might have it thrown in the garbage, and then there's a chance by then it might be my favorite. So I'll keep you updated on it.